Hey, what's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here, pro photographer in New York. Welcome back to my channel, and I'm trying to keep this channel alive. I know I've been slacking a little bit lately. Not really slacking, just crazy busy on 40 other platforms. If you follow me, you know what I'm talking about. Either way, part of the way I keep this channel alive when I can't get here to do like straight up dedicated content for you guys is I go through all the archives and I save stuff from all these other weird, crazy corners of the earth that I do content and live streams and stuff. And this one was actually from when Adorama used to have a Twitch channel. It's still there, just not active. Anyway, this is also with the legend Joe McNally. My boy, what's going on, man? Super fun to hang out with him always. And this one was really cool because we're kind of just like hanging out. And then Cliff Hausner makes a crazy appearance. And he just mentions all these names you might need to research if you want to learn more about the real deal of the photo industry and some really heavy hitters that maybe could inspire you and elevate your game and kind of just, going through the motions and just hanging out with Joe McNally. And we're talking to you guys in the chat room. If some of you are from that era, let me know down in the comments. If you're new here, this was a pretty cool era. In fact, this was a stream lab I built during COVID when we couldn't have public events in the Adorama event space. And I thought it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that space. And this was actually a really cool time because this is older than the last archive stream I put up on this channel. I'll put a link down below to that one as well. But this was right when Joe got back from the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So it was really cool to kind of go through that. And, we just kind of messed around with like a single light setup and all this, took you on your questions and talked a bunch of stuff. And it was just awesome. And I love hanging out with Joe always. If you don't know Joe McNally, seriously, you should, especially if you are serious about the photo industry at all, or just want to know about some amazing people. He is on a level all of his own. And he's one of these guys that really shows you how far things can go and go beyond that. And he'll keep you inspired. And the fire inside of the passion he's got for shooting is just like some kid on day one, but he's been doing this for decades. And his chops are just insane. His experiences are amazing. The stories are incredible. And I just love Joe. So Joe, if you're watching this, what's up, man? I hope we can do this again sometime. I think this is like a cool format. Maybe we can get back into, just kind of keep it chill, grab some gear, see what happens, and kind of roll with things, which is how I like to do my live streams. Anyway, I hope you guys like this. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe so you get stay up on stuff like this, but also join the Discord. It's free. It is a community of non-toxic people, all sorts of resources in there 24/7 from around the world. You can ask any questions you want, share work, give some feedback to other people, industry news, all sorts of things are in that Discord. So go ahead and check out that link. And all the videos that we mentioned in this casual conversation with me and Joe, all those links will be down there as well. So you can kind of go back to that. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on this intro. It's a pretty long video itself. So hopefully you guys just throw it on, let it play in the background, get psyched up. And I guarantee you, if you're at all a photo nerd, you're going to be like psyched up to go do something after this one. I love this kind of stuff. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Go ahead and check it out and let me know what you think down in those comments. If you want to see more archives, I'll be happy to dig through some stuff and kind of repackage them for you. But for now, go check out me and Joe hanging out in the Streamlab on Adorama's old Twitch channel. Later. And let me click this into... All right, guys, what's going on? Special edition. I know I don't usually stream on Wednesdays, but this guy was wandering outside. I felt bad. I was like, come in. I'll give you food and water. Joe McNally, everybody, has joined us at the Streamlab.
So, how's it going, man? How's it going? Yeah, no, Seth has always been very kind. I hang around the front of Adorama. He's like, brings me a bottle of water, a bagel or something, whatever,
I put a bell on him so he doesn't get hit by traffic. It's great.
Yeah. So you can really go astray in New York City.
Oh, my God. Ken Nielsen, what's going on? Vega, how you doing? Olithan, everybody's showing up. All right. Death by Shotguns. How you been, buddy? I hope you're well. So we got Quinn. We actually have some special guests. I got Cliff Hausner, the legend pro photo right here, checking his phone like a teenager. And then we got Fernando here. So it's a bit of a micro reunion here. I haven't seen Cliff in 2 years. I haven't seen you since, I think, the Graveyard shoot, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, and, last year.
Yeah.
Last year.
So if you guys didn't check out that's on Adorama TV. We shot in a graveyard. Guys.
We're on a live set, and these guys are over here checking that, checking, how the Giants are doing.
Well, so, Fernando's new to production, so I'm going to catch him a break. All All right. Do you guys love that series? Which one has been your favorite? Which one has been your favorite for the Pointe shoe? Has it been the diner? Has it been the laundromat was epic?
I love the laundromat.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I love the laundromat. First and best. Good news is we just did another edition, and we've added a female detective to the team. So now we've got Nick, okay, Nick Knight, and Delia Day. So
That's what you named her.
actually, that was Marissa who came up. She goes, I think she's really got a good imagination. So it was a lot of fun, and it continues to be spoof and lighthearted for a noir murder mystery in which people are getting offed. But anyway, it's all in good fun.
Yeah, guys, and I just wanted to give Cliff his shout. If you guys don't know Cliff Hausner, check yourself. So this is Cliff. He's our pro photo guy, but he's also like a major legend.
This is where we're going?
Yeah.
I got to find the camera. I got to know where.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking this way.
So, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I make sure.
Yeah, no, you're not.
No, I do.
Yeah. If you guys want to hear how epic this guy is, there's a discussion me and him had on my own YouTube channel like forever ago, where you get to hear all the stories. You, me, and Ab were on live.
What were we talking about?
I think when you lit the Senate.
Yeah, House of Representatives.
House of Representatives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So go check him out. But for now, we're gonna go do some stuff here.
Cliff doesn't need a fancy icon.
He doesn't.
No,
See?
I don't. No,
See? There
just
you
my
go.
name. Just me.
Go follow the man. All right.
Pleasure, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good luck. Have fun.
So you guys know how this goes. I did this yesterday with you guys. We shot with some lights. We talked about some Canon stuff. But today I got Joe. We got a Z7 II. We got the 50 millimeter f1.2.
Yep.
We got small kits, medium kits, and we got Quinn, who she never shuts up, but it's okay. We're gonna get through this.
And we got Cliff in case everything goes off the rails.
Right.
So just a word about Cliff. We go back a long ways. The guy is a legend, okay, in the photo community. And, the sense of support and camaraderie and also the striving for excellence is something that we share. And I've always loved the guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, someone's legendary in this game when they just have to go by their first name and that's it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like Denzel.
Yeah.
It's like
Joe's like
Madonna.
You're the most common name on the planet. As soon as you say Joe, it's like, oh, Joe McNally. You don't even think about whether Joe. That's big. But Cliff, I never have to say any other Cliff. What do you mean, what Cliff? No, it's that Cliff. It's always Cliff. So don't forget to check out people that you might not know about that you should know about. Okay. Yeah, she is cracking up literally. The paint is kind of getting a little fragile. So it looks like a flyaway hair now. I keep touching her up with whiteout. So
Nice. Nice. No, it's amazing.
the problem is Sheila at the studio has been through like 3 decades of paint. So she's got texture. So you actually are lighting a skin texture. With Quinn, she's so brand new. You could hit her with a monster lighting and she still looks
good.
Super smooth. So I'm kind of happy she's aging finally.
Okay. All right. So who's at the studio? Sheila.
Sheila.
And this is Quinn.
This is Sheila.
Ah, there we go.
And that's
there we
Quinn.
go. All right. Nice.
So guys, we're here at your disposal. We keep this real freeform. So what things have you had issues with lighting wise? What's something that you'd like us to get into? If not, we're probably going to get started off with a single speed light small kit.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, let's keep it light and easy. I mean, the beautiful thing about the way the Pro Photo system has evolved, into the A series, basically giving you kind of getting towards the power of a studio light, but and sharing all that technology in a small package.
Yeah.
I've got a shoot coming up where weight is going to be an issue because lights are going to be attached to things. And so the power of this plus the quote unquote lack of weight, on say a magic arm, is really handy. Sometimes you put a bigger head on some of those arms, and the torque and the weight of it causes the arm to slip. This is a really great solution.
So we can put it on a magic arm right now, actually. Well, not a magic arm per se, but I'm big on the articulating arms, but instead of having a stiff 40-inch Hollywood arm, we can. I just set this up and now I'm taking it. See that? This is how it goes, Joe. Here.
That's all right. Here, hey, I'm here to hold Seth's light. That's the deal.
So,
and I'm happy for that because it's gainful employment, and it's certainly steady because he uses a lot of lights. So I'm there for him. I'm just there for him.
So now, Jesus, Joe. So now, what's cool about having articulating? One of the cool things about speed lights is that they're so small and light. And then you have an articulating arm, which I think you guys have all seen me use like crazy. There's no limit to where you want to put the light, and then just freeze it.
Yeah.
So
no, it's handy.
It's super handy. So there you go. Now we got that. I can put a sandbag on there when you're ready. But for the most part, what I want to know is, do you want to shoot like against the graffiti? Do you want to go into a cleaner background with this last light panoramic? I mean, where do you want to go?
I don't know. I mean, we got a 51.2 teed up, so that maybe speaks to like pulling in some background. Maybe we should start with just black background.
This is shockingly light, by the way.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, we're pumping into capture one.
Right.
I mean, what we could do is just like when you put the dome diffuser on this, again, not speaking, I think, out of term, it's very similar to a bare tube. Like just soft and bright, like a radiant light source. You pop one of these into a corner. Say you're in a white room, like white ceiling, white corner. Pop this guy with the dome diffuser into the corner. You've got basically an umbrella light. I mean, because now we are pressed, very hard pressed as photographers to come up with sophisticated solutions that are A, cheap, B, fast, and deliver still sophisticated results to the client or the commission, the portrait subject, whatever it might be. So yeah, improvisation is the word of the day.
Yeah, and you also don't know where you're going to be shooting, but you can bet that if you're going to a room, it'll have a ceiling, it'll have some walls, maybe. You just get used to the idea of the most general stuff and what could you do with it. I remember we were using doors, like just straight up doors with cold shoe clamps, because those are light stands. You clamp it higher up, you got a higher light stand. You just got to make use of things.
Sure.
That being said, there is a question from Melanie. She says, Joe, I know you use lots of lights. How many lights do you routinely take to a shoot?
It really depends on the shoot, Melanie. I mean, I would say basic kit, if I'm going out to do, say, a portrait, I've construed a kit. It's, I have it in one rolling case. I have 2 B10 pluses and I have 4 A10s. And I find within the context of that kit, I can do just about anything of your quote unquote average job, right? If I'm doing like a location portrait and I'm doing somebody in a shop, a greengrocer, a shoemaker, whatever it might be. Face in a place is what I call it, because all the years working for Geographic, they weren't interested in headshots. They were interested in storytelling photographs. So it became incumbent on the photographer to not only translate the face and the emotion and all of that, but also locate that face that helps tell the story of who that person is, the environment, the landscape, the interior of their home. And so that becomes a very, very powerful thing that you need to do. And when I take that number of lights on location, some folks will look at me and go, wow, that's a lot of lights. Not necessarily. I'm running on here. Is that all right?
No, do it. This is it.
There's things about, we have a responsibility to the viewer of our photographs to convey information. And if we stop short, say, with lighting, we're sort of robbing them of information. Like, if somebody's wall that's 20 feet away has, a fireplace or something interesting, family pictures. If we let that wall go dark, well, we're sort of detracting from the ambient information that's there. Take a small light source, throw it back there, boom. You're completing the story. You're helping push the information of the picture in a pictorial way.
Yeah, I think it's funny because when I was in Tokyo shooting the guy who hand poked my tattoo for that video, he had a whole wall of sketches, and I could have done just a portrait of the guy, but I was like, I know I have to illuminate that wall showing this tremendous amount of sketches, because each one of those sketches was like a day of his life.
Sure.
So just little things like that. You have to give your viewer their eyes something to munch on, I call it. Mm-hmm. And we can't be there next to our photo. And I always tell them every decision we make in that frame is a word and a sentence. So make it as clear as possible. And it's a language,
Perfect.
Yeah.
I've said it 1,000 times. The eye is a hunter. The eye seeks pleasure. Okay. It seeks information. And when you just let something go blank, or information less, the eye gets tired and is ready to move on. Let's face it, this is an over-visual world. There's always another page on the internet to click into. You want to rivet people? You want people to stay with your stuff? Yeah. Then it becomes a question of how well are you telling that story in the most complete way and vibrantly interesting visual way.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know you gear up and you go in there, but I think it's so easy for the photo to start becoming about your lighting and not the subject. Where do you find that line? When do you start seeing that happen for yourself, or do you always keep that in mind from the start?
I keep it in mind because the mantra that when you go out, even on a commercial job, really is, what is the story? What's the mission of the picture? And you know who said this best was Gregory Heisler. If you don't know Gregory Heisler's name, look him up. Just knows more about lighting than anybody I've really ever met, and how to express lighting. And Greg always had this theory, like, you're going to shoot editorially, your light becomes part of the story of the picture. In other words, you submerge your lighting into the scene. You don't want to see the hand of the photographer in that instance. You want the subject to dominate. And then, you flip over to the 180 degrees, and he says, sometimes you just light stuff because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, you have some fun. I mean, Google Greg Heisler, Alonzo Mourning.
Alonzo Mourning.
He was a former huge NBA star, retired now, but Zoe, as he was called, stepped in front of Greg's gelled lights, and then Greg had no mission except to shoot something cool, and Zoe was a cool subject. And I always remember Greg tells a story when Zoe saw the first Polaroid, he looked and he said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to shave my head some more because this is really cool.
Yeah.
So he got himself even more prepped because this picture was going to be off the charts awesome.
You're talking about this?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys can see it right here. This is what Joe's talking about.
And, when Greg was doing those whiteboards for Pro Photo, those were like super informative. And they're still alive. They're still around. Just so Google Greg Heisler Pro Photo whiteboards. It'll probably come up. He's got Zoe up there. He's got just a whole ton of really, really cool shoots. And Greg is such a good teacher, and he's so funny, he's like drawing this stuff, and he's, he's got the, the glasses and I think the hat too, and the bow tie. And it's like being in class with a tremendously interesting professor, it's wonderful.
So as Zort's saying, I recently covered an art gallery exhibition opening. They said they wanted close-ups of the artist, but I knew I had to get the artist in the space surrounded by the art. Yeah, I mean, It's as much a part of the story as that person themselves. And you have to realize not everybody knows or was face in front of the person you're shooting. You have to give them a sense of who they are. I know we all go, look at the scars on the face or the wrinkles of time. And he's like, yeah, great. Everyone's got that. But who is that? What do they do? What do they do? Why are you shooting them? All that stuff. And I feel like the environment where someone lives, how they interact with a space says so much about them. And I think that itself is such a hard thing to grasp, where you have to kind of be a viewer for the environment and the person, but you have to be enough of a photographer to optimize it, not overtake it. I that's my biggest issue. Is I always throw.
Jump in for a second?
They can't hear you. Just give it.
You'll give it to them. You'll tell them what I'm saying. Arnold Newman, greatest. Arnold Newman. I think he's the father of environmental portraiture. What's that? You can hear me from here. Okay, I'm gonna step in.
We're live, bro.
I know. That's why we're gonna make
You can tell this has really been rehearsed.
It has been. Yeah. So I don't want to say. Well, so. This is going to be bad. You'll hear me. Arnold Newman is one of the guys that actually Gregory Heisler learned from. So if you get, I think Gregory actually worked for him for a short time, right? He slept on his steps to get the job, I heard, something like that. But if you take a look at Arnold Newman's work, what you're going to see is the perfect environmental portraits. He puts a person within the environment, like the artist that you were asking about, puts him in the environment and brings in the with lighting and with the way he poses the person, brings in the story about the subject, and the lighting helps to tell the story of the subject. That's what's important to me, is that the image, that you're not going to overlight something unless, of course, you have to tell the story, or the story that you want to tell about the subject, and the lighting should do that. If the lighting doesn't do it, then it's bad lighting. But Arnold Newman was a great guy to do it.
That's a really good way to put it.
Thank you.
You want nervous? I was assigned to photograph Arnold Newman.
Oh my
Whoa.
gosh.
for a cover portrait for the Philadelphia Inquirer Sunday magazine.
When was this?
Oh, years ago. And I went to Arnold's studio.
He's a character.
And he is a character, but he was so gracious, and I just tried to mimic his lighting. All I did was I had him on a stool in the middle of this big cavernous empty studio. I figured, all right, that speaks to the artist and the man, you know, and there were 2 white walls. So I just whaled a couple of lights, no shapers. I just banged 2 lights off of the walls. And one was a little more dominant, and he was kicked into that. Shoulders are very pivotal when you're thinking about your main light. Here's the thing. I shouldn't say that, but generally speaking, I try to bring the shoulders have a plane, and I try to bring that in line with where the angle of the light is. That way the body will most fully accept the light. And then on the flip wall, I just put in what became a rim. And I left it there because I was so freaking nervous. I wasn't going to get more complicated. And it was a wonderful day. He signed his book for me, and he was just such a gracious, kind of out there guy, you know. He was, you know, but that's what photographers are. We live in the realm of our imagination. And Arnold did that to the very end, you know. So anyway.
Oh gosh. Yeah, they're all open. The reason they're not talking is they're opening up tabs to all these names you guys are dropping. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sweep this floor up with all these names they got going, but it's all good. You know, Joe
Zort 70. Joe, nervous? Oh yeah. Many times.
I think if you're not nervous, you're doing yourself a disservice. I feel like you have to give yourself this idea of I have to excel. Once you're comfortable, you kind of put out that work that you're like,
you have to project confidence on the set, especially in a big production. You have to be nothing but confident and positive. I mean, but inside you could be a raging torrent of anxiety and insecurity, which generally speaking, I am.
All right. So that being said, when you guys feel weird going into a shoot, just remember, no matter how long you've been doing this, there's always that shoot that puts you under some butterflies a little bit.
Sure.
Cool. All right. If you're not pushing yourself, you aren't growing. That's true. That's true. So we got a Profoto A10 on an articulating arm on a C-stand. We have a 1x1.3 box. Do you even want to put the mod on yet? Do you want to?
No, let's just bare tube it.
Okay. So what do you want to do with her? I can ask her to walk somewhere, you know?
No, she's okay. She's very calm right now.
Are you worried about getting her elbows cut off? Because I can just, you know.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, compositionally, I've always had issues, but you know, but she's the perfect subject for that, obviously.
She's incredible.
So, just in terms of a plan, you know,
I told Joe no plan. This is my fault. I was like, we just go.
Yeah, we're just gonna go. I'm gonna flip the camera on. So we are.
Oh, yeah. What channel are you on? You are on channel.
So wait, A1.
Channel. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the air remote off for just 1 second, because I put the camera. If I'm encountering something like this, okay, a mixed light environment, one thing I do is I go to aperture priority, and I just make a snap, because what you're seeking when you first come onto a location is information. And aperture priority gives you like the weather report, okay? It gives you like, okay, the camera's going to try to pull in all the information here. So when I look at what the camera does, shutter speed, f-stop combination, I'll be able to, that'll be translated to me now, okay, when I start with a flash, here's the shutter speed I have to achieve, for instance, to achieve blackness, you know, to make sure I have control of the environment. So if I just kind of look at Quinn here and I just kind of point the camera at her, wherever we are here, and just see, okay.
Okay, so there you go.
There we go. Okay, I didn't even focus on her, but that is, you know, kind of a
the rising sun in the back. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So, all right, so there's my color. It's auto white balance, gives me kind of, you know, camera did a great job sorting out this mixed light environment, you know, and so that's the level. So I want to get rid of it. All right, so I just, you know, I scope around at a location on aperture priority. Here's hot spots, here's dead spots, all that sort of stuff. And now, you know, what we're going to try to do here is just control the environment. So I'm going to shift out of aperture priority, go to manual. So I'm kind of wide open-ish here at 200. Let's see, we're at 200th of a second, 2 points, somewhere's in there. All right, let's try this. Cool, cool, cool. see where we
I
are.
love how you just said cool, 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 like you do to every model, and she literally is a mannequin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking good, looking good. Love that look, Quinn.
Yeah, no, good. I was assigned once. This is I just spoke about living in the realm of my imagination. Okay, I talk to myself all the time on location. I talk, and I was assigned to do a cover story for the National Geographic. We dubbed her Wilma. She was a perfectly recreated Neanderthal female. And Geographic, for whatever reason, wanted to examine the lifestyle of Neanderthals. So this lady, Wilma, we dubbed her, was about 200 pounds of silicone, incredibly lifelike, naked. Won't go further. But myself and my assistant, they found the Neanderthal DNA in a woods on a Spanish farm. So we had to carry Wilma into the woods. And I'm out there in the woods with this mannequin talking to this lump of silicone, And then we wanted to get an open environment because the environmental changes that occurred that led to the demise of the Neanderthals indicated the forest had eroded and we needed to go to open ground. So we went to open ground, and it was a Spanish national park. And I'm setting up this lady who is naked. And of course, Geographic said, use some lighting to shadow, and so she's there with the spear, and she's all in her Neanderthal glory, and I'm lighting her and a small crew, and 2 Spanish National Park rangers come up on us. And I have to explain to them, what am I doing with this naked female dummy?
What are I doing?
I mean, I was trying to talk my way out of a Spanish jail because I didn't want them to think we were doing a porno. So I'm going to talk to Quinn. I mean, to me, it's perfectly natural.
Okay. Glad we did this on Twitch.
Yes.
But it's funny because I shot that lifelike real, that 1-to-1 ratio Andre the Giant that was all silicone. And the whole time I'm by myself, it took me a few minutes, but I realized I was talking to him like Hulk Hogan the whole time. Brother, I just kept on saying this to him because I was reliving my childhood looking at the eyes of Andre the Giant. But you're by yourself and you're so in a creative space. You don't realize what you're doing sometimes till you step out of yourself.
All right, so what I'm going to do here, I was at ISO 800. I'm going to go to 200, 2 stops out of the equation. Okay, let me go to max on this lens, which is f1.2. Let me go to 500th of a second. Try that and see if that gives me a baseline. I've got eye detect on the autofocus. Interesting. There's no real.
It found her.
It found it.
Yeah. So there's Nikon eye autofocus works on Quinn, who has no color on her or actual eyes, but not bad.
All right, let's get serious here. I'm at 2,000.
Joe's shooting faster. Now I got to step back.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so that's probably kind of interesting mood. Let's see what we can do.
You want to keep her there, or you want to give her movers one way or another?
No, that's probably we should move her because she's halfway here and halfway there.
So what do you want to do? You want to do graffiti? You want to do?
Let's do graffiti.
Oh my God!
Hey, let's get a little crazy.
So what I usually do, is I put an apple box under the canvas to lift it.
Okay.
So
you need a hand doing that?
No, but do you want to do, which section would you rather do, the middle or the beginning?
Let's do the beginning.
Okay. I feel like I'm on a game show. And which one would you like, Joe?
Yeah, which door are you gonna choose? The paper bag from Mrs. Presky. That's a reference to Fire Sign Theater, which is probably just well out of everybody who's watching time range. But anyway.
Wait. So Zort's asking ISO 200, drop that to 100. So why the ISO choice of 200? Let's ask that first.
I've gotten used to 200 as kind of a floor or a ceiling or whatever you want to call it. But yes, on the Z7 II, I can go down to ISO 64. So all right, let's do that. Let's go to 100. All right, cool?
Can I ask you what ISO going up do you start getting a little shaky?
Well, there's an interesting frontier, if you will, right, between Z7 II, Z6 II.
Right.
If I'm going to start to ascend the ISO scale on a sort of rapid fire basis or someplace that's got low light, I'm going to actually flip cameras. I'm going to go to Z6 II because it just is optimized for higher ISO. Your Z7 II, the Z7 series, is 45.7 megapixels, and the detail of it is amazing. Yeah. You know, but I would, you know, for better or for worse, I tend to say Z7 series camera, I tend to use under control. Okay, where I'm really lighting the whole deal, or I'm in a studio. If I'm running and gunning on the street, maybe using one light as a little flash fill, I'm going to go with Z6 or in that series.
Interesting. Pretty sure eye autofocus works on geometric instead of eye detection. Well, sometimes it does, but also uses the contrast of something stark white next to something dark like your pupil. It uses a lot of things. It's just amazing that on complete white, not even a real face, it works. I got to give it to him. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's absolutely true. There is geometry that's factored into those algorithms, but every AF system thrives on some measure of contrast. You know, that is an element in every AF system. It seeks that break point, shadow to light, shadow to light.
Cool.
So,
all right. So you got yourself a raised up backdrop. So also keep in mind, these are RGBW, Joe. I can make this any color you like. So you let me know. And what's cool is this totally changes drastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's the problem with having the dome diffuser, if you will, on the A10? And I got that blue background. What's the basic problem here? I'm going to lose control of that light. As soon as it's radiant like that, it's like all over the place. So let's just do that. Let's just put a raw light up in here. Okay.
You want to just straight over?
Yeah, just like maybe like three-quarter right, camera right.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing.
I got you, Booby. I got you, Booby.
So what should we do? Should we, we'll go straight up manual.
It's all you,
you
man.
You want to do that? We'll go straight up manual.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
I know. It's
just like high-speed sync. What's your shutter at?
Yeah, I'm at 2000 now.
Oh.
I'm at 2000.
Excuse me.
You know.
Sir.
Hey, don't mess. I mean, what am I, you know?
Put on that modeling light, take a look at her.
Nice, nice, nice.
Do you want to twist her?
No, let's just roll. Let's just mess around. See what happens there. Okay, so a little bright on the highlight side. We definitely have a highlight side and a shadow side.
Oh, you're on manual. I'm sorry.
I'm on manual. I'm on manual.
Well, this totally looks like a truck passing by a street in Bushwick, Brooklyn. I'll tell you that right now. So nailed it.
Well, here's the thing. You know, raw light is a powerful thing, especially like what, you know, Seth just said, being out in the street, like folks who might remember the Laundromat. There was a lot of raw light that I bled into those windows from the street. Why? Because the light out in the city streets is raw light, right? You try to match the mood, tenor, and quality of your light to the existing template of what you're encountering. Okay, so
wait, tell me what you consider tenor of lighting.
You know,
I don't mean to break you, Joe. I don't mean to break you.
Yeah, I know.
You want to board? You're gonna board. I'll let you walk.
It's nuts, but I think too much about this stuff. To me, an effective photograph is very much like counterpoint in music. There's an emotional shift. There's a something that changes. I've always felt that when you view an incredibly powerful picture. And Carl Meidens was my mentor at Life magazine. And Carl always said that the photograph is the most powerful force for social change in history, which is kind of an audacious thing to say, but I actually think it's really true, because when you see a powerful photograph, there's an interior shift. You can't even really register it at that particular moment, but it's like the tectonic emotional plates inside your being have just tilted just a little bit, and you will never be the same. So I ascribe to lighting a lot of very human qualities: tone, tenor, color, emotion, range. I like this light to me is harsh, right? It's a little bit, you know, bleached. It's angry. It's, you know, it's got this, you know, quality that's like slam dunk in your face. And then we'll get to a light shaper and it'll become soft, more graceful, you know, more voluptuous, more sexy, if you will. Okay, and the light now will wrap itself around Quinn and become just, you know, again, I'm going to refer to Greg Heisler. Greg Heisler assisted for a period of time a fashion photographer. I believe the photographer, Italian. Okay, so he had a very, very wonderful way of speaking and very charismatic and very descriptive. And Greg always said that when he had a model on the set, he would look at the model and say, "You can think of my light as a lotion for your body. It's just like a lotion for your body, you know." And that's what we're doing. We're draping the light on like a baby, you know, a baby portrait. It's big, soft light. It's like a soft, feathery blanket you're placing on the baby. Okay, if you're photographing a lead singer for a death metal group, you know, you're going to use some like really hard, you know, nasty lighting, maybe even straight flash or something like that. Make them look close to who they are, the persona that they want to project.
So,
is that like stupid?
Do not tell your female models you're throwing lotion on their body. Do not do that. No, no.
This is a story. I'm relating a story.
So, okay, so I didn't ignore your request in the chat.
That is kind of creepy, but very accurate. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I didn't ignore your request in the chat. This is Joe's first time doing this, us doing this together, honestly. I just don't think we have enough time to do what you guys want to do. So maybe if I get Joe in here again, me and him will trade portraits. But for now, I just want to chill. I want to just have like a light session. They want us to do a portrait of each other, but we got like 20 minutes. I'd rather have a session where we do that.
Yeah, why don't we dedicate something like down the road?
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah. If Joe's still around, you know. Well,
that's a day-to-day thing.
If I get Fernando to laugh on the other side of the room, I know it's a funny one.
Yeah, listen, you know, day to day. You know?
All right.
You know, I've been a photographer for, I allowed myself the title of professional photographer in 1978.
Goddamn.
So you can, I don't know, check a medical chart and see what my prognosis is at this point or something. All right, so I took 2 stops out of the lighting. Okay, got the IAF going, and we'll see what happens. You know,
Ba-bing.
Ba-bing. Actually, you know, I'm sort of surprised by that. You know, that there's not that much bleed onto the background apparently from the light source. So that's pretty, even though the dome diffuser is on, that's pretty directional. You know, it's pretty directional, pretty reasonable.
Well, it's really my light placement, but that's cool. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, it's all set. All right, do me a favor there, you know.
Are you on auto white balance?
I don't know.
Because it looks warm to me, so I'm wondering if it's actually looking at all the blue in the scene and trying to like play games with it.
I'm on A1, which basically retains the nature of the scene.
Yeah.
You feel it.
It feels street lighty. It's not that like ultra clean studio look. It's got a little bit of grit.
Well, yeah, so A1 keeps the overall atmosphere, 3 brackets in the auto white balance aspects of the Z series. Okay, so you've got, you know, A0, A1, A2, so the little increments of color shift within the context of that. So, you know, this like, you know, the cameras now, it's like going into a very large diner. And you know those diners where the menu just keeps going and going and going? You know, it's the same thing here. So many options, so many options. I will go to my grave before I access some of these options, just as an FYI. You know, Donald McCullen, Magnum photographer, war photographer, older man now, largely retired, unbelievable body of work. Best quote ever about using a camera. He said many years ago, "I only use a camera like I use a toothbrush. It gets the job done."
That's good.
You know, and that's this. As fancy as this machine is, I might need access to some of those amazing menu options at some point in the future when I'm shooting something complex, and the camera will help me facilitate the job. That's all this technology does. It makes our job easier. We reach out to the technology when we need to. We're not subservient to the technology.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know? So yeah.
So best to set in camera or just use auto and use Capture One to tweak it after?
Well, I always set auto white balance. I always set my white balance in the camera to what I think is appropriate in the field. Because, you know, when you come back up and you're looking at the LCD, you get that JPEG experience.
Yep.
You know, and you want the picture in the field to look like your heart and soul thinks it should be. I'm not a fan of just like any old white balance, fix it later, because that's just baloney as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's kind of like you're setting your workspace. You're actually setting, so it's like putting on some sort of tinted glasses that don't match what you're trying to do. You want to be working in the space you're inevitably delivering. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Hey, could you grab that ProPhoto OCF softbox, and let's not use it as a softbox. Let's just use it as a flag or a cutter. Just place it over here, and let's see if that makes any difference. You know, we'll improvise a flag here with a softbox and see if that makes any difference in the depth of the background.
Nothing.
A little bit. Feathers it off just a tiny bit. Yeah.
I also think this sometimes, not really. I got the dome on. Never mind.
Let's take the dome off.
Sometimes I use these as the adapters or the speed rings. Like in the V10 video, I use the speed ring just to keep the light from spreading everywhere. So sometimes I'll take the shoe, I'll loosen it, and I'll back it off a little bit, and then I'll tighten it back down, and I have a bit of a flag here.
That's nice. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. So I just took the dome diffuser off. I'm on manual. If anybody guesses accurately how many stops I have to go down on my exposure, Seth will send you a free A10 from the, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just messing around. I'm sorry.
Legally, you're going to screw me over, Joe. Legally.
All right.
Want the box at the flag?
Yeah, let's flag it. Let's flag it. Let's see what happens. Now, it could be that all the exposure I'm getting in the background is from those overhead lights. And it is. But now, you see the light has gotten a little sharper, a little bit brighter. Actually, it's not as definitively brighter as I thought it would be. So to get rid of
1.5 stops, we got 2/3 of a stop. You're not getting an answer?
I'm thinking 2/3 kind of is the winner there.
2/3.
Yeah. So let me do this. Let's get crazy. 5,000.
Oh boy. You got 5,000th of a second.
5,000th of a second. And there we go.
Whoa.
There we go. Now, high-speed sync. What's the price for high-speed sync? Going up, we were at 2,000, went to 5,000. Okay, so that's like more than a stop of shutter speed that we programmed in. So what's going to happen to my flash? It's going to naturally lose some power. So now you're starting to see a little bit of warmth bleeding back into Quinn, okay, as she is being affected by the ambient light. Why is she being affected by the ambient light? We've got flash going because there's a bleed from the ambient light at 1.2. You know, there just is just a little natural, just a little bit. It's like putting a little salt in the soup. You know what I'm saying?
You got to kind of remember that your aperture is really a global setting where your strobe and your ambient light get affected. It's the shutter speed that's really only going to be messing with your ambient constant light in your space.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do this. I mean,
1.2 is wide, bro. 1.2.
It is very wide. It is very wide. I mean, is this going in a good direction? Is this interesting to anyone? Because we haven't really done much, but we're still playing, you know, so I hope it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Twitch people are cool, man. They're just like, I just want to do stuff and hang out. And I think you've dropped enough names and stories that they're pretty happy.
All right, so let me go back up
send
here.
out a comment card. We'll get it back. Don't worry.
All right, let me try this.
Boom.
All right, so you see her clean up. She's no longer slightly warm because I went to F4 and I programmed in 2 more stops roughly of flash, which means now these ambient lights, which tend to be a little bit warm, are no longer the player they were at 1.2. So that's what, that's what you're doing at camera. It's the game of ratios. What exists and what do you layer over what exists? How much control do you want to exert? Do you want to just let things play, or do you want to slam dunk the ambient level of light and create your own fantasy?
How often would you say you lean into the ambient before you start lighting it yourself?
Oh, I would say most of the time, or a great deal of the time. You know, I'm looking to see if the ambient light can be a help. Quick tip, I cheat. Okay, here's the thing, I cheat. When I walk into a location, I immediately look where the windows, doorways are. Like say you're assigned to photograph in a bar, you know. I almost always, I don't look into the bar because the bar is just going to get darker, 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 darker. I try to flip around and I look back towards presumably where there's windows and the street, because those windows are going to be my natural ambient backlight, which I can control with shutter speed. So it means I don't have to light the back of the bar. And bars are generally shiny wood, oftentimes, you know, copper rails, whatever they might be. Not that I've ever been in a bar or hang around bars, but, you know, I grew up with an intuitive sense of how to light a bar. Just saying. But what you get oftentimes is angle of incidence, angle of reflection.
Right.
You know, and that will hype the activity of the light in the background because you're maximizing that. It's like a pool shot. It's like a camera, like bing, bing. Okay, you know, it's an angle of incidence, angular reflection. Play that game. Another tip, okay, out on the street. All right, if you want to get that angle of incidence, angular reflection sort of thing at night, and you're thinking like your block or something is going dead, if you're in a position to do this and there's not like massive traffic around and you're shooting like somebody at 3 a.m. in the morning, drive your car down to the end of the block. Angle it, okay, 45 degrees. Turn the brights on. Put gels over your headlights and flare it off the brick, okay? I mean, concrete, brick are tremendously reflective. You know, glass, all that stuff in the city. Just blast your high beams with some gels on them at 45 degrees off of the storefronts, and you've got an instantaneous sort of, you know, I don't know what it is, you know, cop show lighting, you know, that you see in all the, you know, whatever, the shows that are on television that everybody loves.
I mean, light sources are light sources, right? And if it's something that's supposed to be environmental, it doesn't have to be a super clean, completely accurate studio strobe. It can be filthy, and you kind of have to like embrace that aspect of it. And if you don't have a car, like, you know, me, two speed lights look like headlights to me sometimes. So no problem.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Absolutely.
I do want to ask you about ambient though is, if you're in a bar, it's controlled. Whatever that light is in that bar, that's what that light is in that bar. But do you take into account when you're in a situation that the ambient will be constantly changing, that you're like, forget it and just go all with your own light?
Can you pull up my website?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a pain in the neck to do?
I just pulled up your guy, right? JoeTheOldGuy.com.
I'm just, you know, it's just breaking chops.
Oh my God.
All right, there's your website.
All right, so let's just see here if I can pull this up.
Keith Haring.
I just wanted a quick example. There he is. Okay, my friend Les Goodson. All right.
Boom.
So Les plays jazz saxophone on Fifth Avenue, and I've gotten to know him over the course of, I don't know, the last 7 or 8 years, and I did a story about him for the Atlantic magazine. That is the Paris Blues Club up in Harlem, and what I just told you about is what I did. The windows, this looks like early morning. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've got Profoto B4s, big guys, right? 1,000 watt seconds. They're out, gelled warm on the sidewalk, amplifying the ambient light. If I just left it alone, it would be kind of this cold overhead, you know, afternoon light, but I blasted warm light. And it can pass as warm light because remember this, okay, why do we call it golden hour, sunrise, sunset? Because the light's warm, but what is it also doing at those hours? It's angled. It's not overhead. So overhead light, if you warm it, it's a dead bang giveaway that you're kind of manipulating the scene. But if you keep a warm light low, it could be sunrise or sunset. And then there's only one light in this bar. Okay, there's a 1x3 Profoto. Here's a big thing that strip lights are probably my favorite softbox. Long, narrow, skinny lights that you can kind of, you know, carve the human face and body with. But I'm a big, big fan of fabric grids. Because fabric grids, you stuff them in there in the front surface of that light, and you columnate the light. You don't let it scatter around. Let's face it, lighting something, when you put a light into an umbrella, it's like herding cats, right? They go everywhere, those frickin' photons, you know. But if you use a softbox, it's by nature a more controlled, concentrated bundle of light, which you concentrate even further by putting a fabric grid on. I've had a lot of coffee. I'm talking really fast. So,
no grid. I have a grid somewhere.
You know, but anyway, moving on. Is it time that we put on a light shaper? I mean, these poor folks.
And they're chilling, man. They don't see. I don't have these war stories. I'm boring old Seth with zombies. You know, you're like.
I love zombies. I love zombies. I love your zombies.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know,
I'm so tired of zombies, Joe. It's like,
I can imagine. Now, here's the thing, too. Like the light is in the same position, and you know what I was saying earlier. You see how steep the shadow is. Okay, it's very narrow. Okay, and one thing you can do with your subject, forgive me.
Oh, don't twist her.
Oops, don't twist her too much.
Don't twist her torso. She comes apart.
Oh, all right.
Twist her from the glass.
Okay, remember what I was saying about taking the shoulder plane and kind of bring it more into the angle of the light.
You want it flat to it?
Not so much flat, but yeah, maybe about there.
Okay.
So now let's just try that.
She'll fall it completely over.
Again, 5,000. Oh, sorry, man. 5,000 and F4. See how her face now opens up? Simple thing, right? But, you know, the narrowness of the light has now left the scene. She is more fully illuminated just because, you know, it's the equivalent of taking your subject and say, could you fold your arms and turn into the light? You know, takes half a second and your light changes. Small changes in your lighting pattern speak volumes. Okay?
I didn't flag it there. I don't know if you care.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care at this point. You know, I mean, at this point, that's the thing. Like, the beauty of like kind of doing this for a long time is that you accept the ups and downs with a certain level of equanimity. You know, it's like, oh my goodness, when I was a younger photographer, I mean, something would go wrong on the set, I'd start vibrating like a tuning fork. Now it's like, all right, you know, we'll figure it out.
Equanimity. You know? See, he's using big words because he just wrote another book, so be on the watch for that. So,
put the dome diffuser back on. One thing I do use resolutely is I leave the dome diffuser on if I put the softbox on, because then the light radiates at the source and fills the softbox better. Because frankly, you know, this is a fairly small light source. And if you want to put this sucker into a bigger softbox, the dome diffuser is going to take a little power from you, but it's also going to help enormously the quality of your light. And we have this amazing game that we can play now because of the ISOs of the cameras are so flippin' good, right? You're looking at someone who grew up with Kodachrome 25.
Kodachrome, what's that?
Kodachrome 64. You know, I mean, f 2.8.5 was major depth of field. So now we have this almost infinite array of combinations between the ISOs we can choose, which produce a lot of good quality, and then goes down the scale to like really super rich quality, and then all the shutter speed stuff, the high speed sync, the beautiful lenses that are sharp at 1.2. I mean, the options are astonishing. I just came back from the Tokyo Olympics. I was shooting D6 at ISO 8000 and getting wonderful quality. 8000 wasn't even in my vernacular when I started.
I remember seeing 3200 speed film being like, oh man, that's crazy.
Oh, crazy stuff.
And now you're like, oh, you're not going to shoot at 64,000? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's crazy. You want to go box?
Yeah, let's go box. Let's just see what happens.
Do you want to go box with grid or just go straight up?
Just go straight up. Let's see what the deal is.
Back in then so that we can, and just so you guys know, the head's zoomed all the way out as well. You know, you just want to fill the box. You want it as even when it leaves that box as you can. I'm going to close it up for you too. I'm going to be a real mensch. Look at this.
Look at this. Look at this. I mean, the
thoroughness.
The professionalism.
I forgot my white gloves today, but I'm doing it for you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Seth is the man. I urge, obviously you already follow Seth because you're here on the Twitch channel. But the thing is, Seth is one of the most promising young photographers to come along in a long time. Seth knows more stuff about more stuff than I will ever, you know, because he's just this receiver of all of this input from the various manufacturers and feeds back to them, in addition to doing his own good work.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so now she's turned into this light. We got a softbox. I'm not going to change my f-stop or the power. Let's just see how much light that softbox takes away. Oof. What do we think? I'm thinking that's at least a stop and a half.
Yeah.
You know, at least a stop and a half. But look at the quality of the light that all of a sudden just bounced us, you know?
Well, if you guys take a look, right? We were here. Look at the shape of the light on her here, right? And then look at the shape of her here. Look at just how her eyes have like a roundness to them now. And come on. Her mouth and her nose. Look at the difference in the shape of her nose just from a modifier, not like anything else.
Yeah.
That's just light.
I just went up and I am maxed on that pack. The wonderful thing about the Air remote is that it signals you. It gives you this beep, beep, beep. It's like, you're done, bub.
There you go.
And there we are.
It's like pearlescent now. Like, look at how clean she looks. Boom.
You know, I mean, I have to say, Quinn has got great cheekbone structure. She just, you know, she's just rocking it. You know,
since you're in my hood, we got to use a Brooklyn reflector. Go for it. Let's just.
All right, so we're going to open up the shadow side of the face via that very simple, cheap, easy to procure.
Cheap? Oh, do I insult you in your hood? No. Boom, clean.
So opening up. And now, of course, background is very subdued at 5,000 at 3.5. Okay, that's where we are now. And so, yeah. So yes, you're very right. You know, scatter in the box. That's a really good phrase. Scatter. It's like, I don't know. You could shout that on the set. It's like fire in the hole. Scatter in the box. You know, that kind of thing. Everybody hits the floor. You know, fantastic phrase. Love that. Okay. You know, I don't know. My mind goes in different directions.
Joe is exhausting just to stand next to. I want you guys to know that.
Yes, I do own here, Fear, Ben, Noah. I do own Brooklyn reflectors. You know, foam core, little pieces of board are enormously
These are
helpful.
great.
Yeah,
These are
no, it's
awesome,
great.
guys.
Yeah, yeah, and they make a very resonant sound when they're knocked against something that's hollow. Okay, just like this sort of resonant. It's like I don't know. It's like dropping a watermelon or something. You know. Anyway.
Look up
the fill board.
Oh,
Let's do that. Let's do that. Do we have time to do that?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Yeah. Now.
Now we're getting into goofy. Now, okay. Now you guys are gonna see some stuff.
All right. No. So let's go overhead because she's got a very symmetrical kind of face, right? She's got like.
You want to go more like this, right?
Yeah. We'll just go up and over, and now we can maximize. Like, before we do the fill board, let's do this.
You want to do like some drama?
Yeah, some drama. That'd be cool.
Joe doing drama? Never, ever. Haven't seen. Nope. You Spielberg a photo over here.
Okay.
One of the things I like about Joe is that he always goes to a safe place of vintage movie lighting. It's always been like his thing. And by vintage is a nice way of saying old. No.
Yeah. As I always say to Seth, I've got 2 words for you, and it's not happy birthday. So now, symmetry. We've been working so far, we've always had a highlight side and a shadow side.
Right.
Now we don't have either of those. We have symmetry to the light and an even shadow drop.
Yeah.
Because roughly speaking, this light is pretty symmetrically placed over her head.
Yeah, it's really clean. You see how there's like an easy gradient? It's not so much like a geometric shadow of a geometric shape of a shadow.
Yep. So now let's do a Brooklyn fill board, huh?
Sure.
You know? All right, nice. You notice where Seth has it? You know, a fill board is only as effective.
Beautiful.
See how I'm opening up? Is only as effective as how close you can make it to the light. You know, how big it is. I mean, I always refer to it as a passive element in your lighting scheme. It's not, I keep looking up at the board here. I should be looking at the camera, right?
That's all right. It's
but
an inactive fill.
I'm trying to track, you know, the questions.
I got you.
Yeah, it's a passive element. You know, it's just there and you can use it very effectively and it can have a dramatic effect. But say you're doing full length, forget about it. You can't do a fill board on it. You know, it's going to be in the picture.
At best, you have a white floor.
Yeah.
At best, you know. Well, that's something that I think people don't see in your lighting a lot that I wish you talked about more. Joe very often will use a fill that has a subtle warmth to it. And there's a psychology to that they could be near wood. They could have a wooden floor. They could have a desk near them. And it doesn't look like artificial because that's what organic light acts like.
Yeah, I mean, light coming through a window. I mean, what's warm and inviting? Think of like ads for Pillsbury or something like that, baked goods or something. It makes you want to be in the kitchen, this homey kitchen. The light's coming in the window. What's it going to hit first? It's going to hit a wooden floor. Right. What happens when light hits something? It picks up the color of what it hits.
Yep.
You know, so you got to be careful. Like if you go into a pre-K playroom and you're bouncing your light around and there's yellows and blue walls and stuff like that, your kids could end up looking like tomatoes. So you have to be careful of that stuff because light will pick up that color of what you're bouncing off of, all that sort of stuff.
Well, that's like the biggest issue with using green screens is that you're constantly getting fill of like neon green around your subject.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
it's a nightmare. I use magenta light as edge to separate them from the green screen.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
The more you know.
Yeah. So,
go
so that's a very wonderfully symmetrical kind of.
How about
one light fill board?
Let's drag it till you get the background where you want it. How's that?
Perfect. Okay.
So where are you right now? 5,000?
5,000.
You're beating the hell out of this light? Come on, man.
All right. So what's going to happen? I'm not going to change. I'm going to go from 5,000 to 1,000. What's going to happen to my light source.
It's going to get brighter because...
I get brighter, right? And, you know, I would bet it might be as much as, you know, stop and a half, you know, 2 stops even. Boom, there you go. So now, could you live with that? You could do a histogram on this and live with that if you were doing like fashion, high key. I mean, a skin tone for like a little bit of a fashion-y portrait or something like that. A senior portrait, a little bit lighter on the skin, tends to make the skin glow a little bit and be a little more flattering. You know, so yes, there's bad exposure and there's good exposure, to be sure. But also I would submit for your consideration that exposure itself is an expression of creativity. I mean, we've all seen the spreads in Vogue magazine where everything is way pushed to the right-hand side and super high key and this and that. And then you flip open the pages of National Geographic and everything is chiaroscuro, you know, very much pushed to the left, you know, really moody, kind of warmish, you know, hark back to Kodachrome color, you know. So there's everything in between. And so again, you choose as you see fit. What do you feel? What is the location speaking to you about? And then how do you tell that story?
Yeah, there's no wrong answer when it's subjective or creative, but if you're trying for a technique and you're not getting there, that's where the error is. But no one can tell you how your images should look. Whether you generate an audience for your style is another story. But yes, whether it works for the image for other people to understand what you're doing is another story. But overexposure, like Joe is saying, could be a tool. Underexposure could be a tool. It's just, do you use a hammer on a screw? Think about it, you know?
Sure. You know,
next book.
My friend, you've got a gift. No, you've got a gift.
You guys that can't shut up. That's what you guys are dealing with, right?
Yeah, sidewalk, asphalt. It is a good reflector. Actually, you know, quite effective. Yep.
And being neutral gray is awesome. It's actually like a great.
Can we go back to? I don't want to touch that console because something will go wrong. But
do you want to use the slider to see what the recovery would be?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we'll take a look at it. We go to the exposure, and you go to exposure, you drop it. And to me, it looks pretty good after just under 2 stops. You're over, just under.
Yeah.
So
I correspond now. If I like that look, I can probably live there. But, well, let's pull it down a little bit. And also, too, by going to 1,000, I am picking up the background again.
Yep.
Right? So that's, see, your shutter speed corresponds to your scene. Like, everything overlaps, but just as a general kind of notion, your shutter speed is the way to control the entire scene. Your flash and your f-stop up front are what you are able to control local. What's near to the camera, you can control with your f-stop as it relates to the power of your flash.
That's a good way.
Down the block, you got to go with shutter speed as the controller for that.
Right,
you know?
Right. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think you got to really differentiate what settings you have that are either global or local, right?
Yeah.
Local to the strobe, global to the entire frame.
Right. And that's why I'm a huge fan of lighting on location, because some folks have asked over the time, like, well, why don't you just use like an ND filter if things are too bright or this and that? But yeah, ND filters are definitely handy. But what is an ND filter? An ND filter is a global adjustment. When you are introducing flash into the scene, it is a local adjustment, and you can play with it, okay? Joe, I know it's old news, but when you worked with Kodachrome, were you getting to print publications? Did you take part in any of the dye transfer process? No, I did not. Assignment photographer, tried and true, shoot it and ship it, okay? My editors at the Geographic would see my film, every frame I shot, okay, before I ever got there. So they were the ultimate arbiters, and then I would get that back. In fact, Geographic was so amazing back in the day when they did have budget, okay? There was a department called Film Review. And Film Review would take in Kodachrome if you're in the field for 3, 4, 5 weeks and you're shipping film, and they would review your film to see if anything was going wrong with your cameras. Like the backplate is scratching, there's a technical problem you might not pick up on. So they would review your film, make sure that everything technically was working well. They would also organize all the chromes so horizontals and verticals would line up, and then they would stripe that box with a black line, so that the editor would then get this tub of film and look for the black stripe and know that that black stripe would go in this way to the Garrett box.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and so they didn't have to waste time reorganizing horizontals and verticals. That was the geographic in its day.
So to sum it up, his exposure had to be within a half a stop on the slide film. They saw every frame. He could shoot a fraction of the frames that we're shooting today, ISO limitations, and you didn't even know what you got. Your editor knew before you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't want to hear complaining from anybody. Like ever.
Yeah.
This is the chops that you don't, you should know about.
So, all right. So what were you thinking about?
I was thinking about dragging to get the blue in.
Okay, yeah, we could drag some shutter. All right, so let me power down a little bit. I'm gonna take 2 stops out of the lighting equation.
Go for it.
Okay, and let's drag some shutter.
Kind of snowbound.
Let's go to 200th of a second. Pretty radical. Okay, a little bit radical. That background is now going to get pretty bright. And so did my flash. You know why?
You didn't go into TTL, did you?
I didn't go into TTL, but what is happening is the ambient light
is coming into play from
at this equation at 200 at 2.8. Let's just see, no flash. We'll just see what happens here. You know, we're getting a fair amount of ambient bleed, not as much as I thought I would. So that flash is way overpowered at this point, way overpowered, because I went all the way down from, where was I, 1,000? I can't remember, to you
were at 5,000, then you went to 1,000.
And now I'm at 200. So now I've gained back all that power I had been giving away to high-speed sync. So let's do this. Let's power way down. Let's go like 3 stops.
Mike, the 1 p.m. is that on Instagram. 11 a.m. was for Twitch.
Okay, still too bright, even with -3 stops. So let's go, I don't know, let's go 1 stop and then half.
So he's still in manual, just so you guys know.
Yep.
Ooh,
and there we go.
Oof.
Oh yeah, no, it's a thing of beauty. Quinn is on her game.
Yeah, she gives you that look in her eye that you know. You just know.
You know.
Yeah, it's those subtle emotions.
You know, she makes you want to do right by her. You know, she just gives you that look and say, look, you know.
Oh boy.
So, all right. So how are we doing here? How are we doing on time?
I mean, we're at the hour. It's up to you if you want to keep trudging a little bit, if there's something else you want to do. But if you have any questions about what's going on here, any of the stuff that we've been talking about, that hour flew, huh?
Yeah, it went by very quickly. The reason Seth is sort of stumbling is I'm a very intimidating presence. I mean,
it's like a big honey bear.
It's like I come on the set, I make demands, it's like the cappuccino has to be at the exact right temperature. I mean, all of that stuff. It's awful.
When I finally met Joe, it was right here at Adorama. He was in the middle of the store. There was no event space, and I had a beat up, destroyed version of Hot Shoe Diaries. And I was like, I want to get this guy to sign it. And before I even got a chance to, he pulled me up to go to be a model, so to speak. And I was like, all right, but you're signing my book. And he goes, yeah.
Absolutely. Hey,
just get over that.
You buy a book, I'll sign it, That
book was beat. It's just amazing. First of all, I just want to say, like, it's really amazing, this industry, how tangible, like, who we consider to be like these upper echelon people, they're just in the same industry, and you can DM them, you can ask to assist, you can apply to work with them or ask them questions or be in their workshops, so don't think that there's this divide. Joe has a blog, Joe's got Twitter, you can ask Joe something on Twitter, and maybe he'll learn how to use Twitter one day, and he'll answer you.
Yes, the internet is a strange landscape to me. And Tyler, no, I do all my own Twitter.
You can tell by the way it types.
I do all my own Twitter. And I do all my own blog writing. And I write all the captions in my Instagrams. Now, my wife, Annie Cahill, manages, and directs social media and marketing at our studio. So she's really good at kind of creating triptychs and certain graphic elements. She's really excellent at that. And she's also very, just knowledgeable. She's done a lot of studying and classes and this and that, analytics. So what she has done with our social media has been to give it a direction. So me, if it was just me, I'd be like, oh, that's a nice picture, I'll do that. But what Annie does is, no, we have to have a plan. We have to have a direction. Let's dovetail with the news of the day. Let's anticipate the Olympics coming. So go after, certain sports things you might have done before. So I feel special too, Tyler. I think that we had the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
Tyler's a really good sports shooter, definitely seasoned, and some of his work that he shares with us is fantastic. I think you'd get a kick out of it. Yeah. Last question from Melanie is going to be, with multiple cameras, how do you deal with carrying all that weight without getting a stiff neck? You trained for this one. You got all rocky with it. It's like he was climbing steps at the library and everything. He was looking at that statue.
Yeah. No, I did a lot of walking with a weight vest prior to the games.
For real. Like, that's not a joke.
Like 3 months out, I started walking with a 40 or 50 pound weight vest just in my neighborhood, 1-2 miles, just to get my legs spooling up, because it is hard. There's no sleep. You are a one-person band, if you will. You're shooting, you're planning, you're going to the venues, you're downloading, you're retouching, and that's where, like, Capture One, I've been involved with that now for a while. I'm getting better at it, and I was able to put in, recipes for social media, for Zuma Press. And so, boom, one-stop shopping. That picture would be in 2 different resolutions, and I could move them out into the world as I saw fit.
Had to stop the song for yeah. I didn't want Twitch to bing me for copyright. I already had a guy without a shirt on in a picture. Who knows what's going to happen?
I have to stop the song for copyright issues.
Yeah, Twitch will rip the video if they hear a song that has copyright. So I had to stop the Rocky song.
Joe do the National Geographic editor voice. Do you know that you had several frames out of focus on roll 278? Oh, God, please just give me a little more chance, I swear to God. I mean, the editor of the National Geographic back in the day was God. He controlled your air supply, it was ridiculous, But anyway, those days, thankfully, are in the rearview mirror.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Joe McNally, is it? Joe McNally?
Seth Miranda, last ex-witness, the man.
Just remember, these stage names like Joe McNally, they're so fake, but people like them. So, every now and then, listen, guys, we will see you. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.